Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a brake service on the 2007 Yamaha R6. So I got two sets of the front brake pads that you're going to need, as well as one set of the rear brake pads to complete the brake pad service. The Motul RBF 600 brake fluid, and from a brake pad perspective, the Double H Sintered brake pads from EBC. And with that, let's dive right in. Alright, for this one you're going to need a 12mm socket and a wrench, and you're going to get these two bolts that hold the caliper. With the brake line, you're going to need to also loosen this one up. So if you haven't already, you can take a 4mm hex socket and you can take this one out where the reflector is, and that will provide you more ability to have the brake line and the freedom from the brake line, so you have space. And just make sure not to lose the nut that's holding it from behind it. And this should be now, the caliper should be free. Once you have the caliper free, you can see that the brake pads are here, right? So this one has some corrosion on it and is very low to minimum on the pad wear and thickness. As far as the top, you'll have the caliper guide pin here for the pads, as well as the top that's holding the calipers all in place, this clip. So you want to be able to take this out, inspect it, as well as make sure that you clean the surfaces and make sure that there's no uneven wear. So I'm going to just take some WD-40 and then start cleaning this out and taking it apart. You'll need some needle nose pliers to get into here, right? It's what's holding this clip on, and you can see, I'll just spin this one around, pin out. There's these little clips that come from each side that have to be removed. So either a flathead screwdriver, or if you're having a pick, that can of course help, so that you can spin these around. And then you can use either the pick or the needle nose pliers. You can grab those, right? And that's what that looks like. And then once those are out, this will be easy now to push out. So you want to look and inspect, make sure to clean that corrosion off. And now the clip should be removed. And try to hold on to the pads so it doesn't fall like mine. You can kind of cup your hand over there, and when you flip it over, once you remove the clip, so that the pads don't fall. But I'm throwing these out so it doesn't matter. And then you can see there's some kind of cobwebs and a little bit of corrosion. So you want to just get in there either with brake clean or with maybe simple clean, and just clean the surfaces out and make sure that everything is clean and ready for your new brake pads. So you want to make sure to clean this area, because as the pistons move up and down, you don't want that debris to get caught up in the piston seals. Of course, with a brake pad clip, make sure the orientation, right, the arrow follows the rotation of the wheel, right? So a lot of people skip over that step. Make sure that's in place, and when you put this one back on the caliper, and of course make sure you're cleaning the brake pad guide pin. So for instance, on mine, you can see it's corroded. I'm going to clean this one up, and I'm actually going to put some brake anti-seize. That's optional, right? You can do brake grease or brake anti-seize to clean this one up. I like using the Never Seize brand in case you guys are looking to do this. I could use this for all my automotive and motorcycles. It's actually really great product, and you know, high heat and track conditions, no issues at all. And, just going to clean up the brake pad guide pin as well as the little cotter pins that hold this together. So now I'm going to put the brake pads in. Again, just you're going to put the new brake pads in. Make sure everything is in place, right? So if you do this upside down, then you're going to want to, of course, make some room, right? So what I always like to do is either use the old brake pads or just be careful with the new ones, and you can create a space with flathead screwdriver and just get in between the brake pads, and you can kind of push this one between it. Then you can take the needle nose and kind of turn this so you have the holes where the small cotter pins go into, right? And then you can reinstall those back. Okay, once you have everything, it's just reverse installation, right? So again, if you already had spread the brake pads to give space to go over the rotor, then you just install the brake caliper bolts, and also don't forget to reinstall the reflector if you choose to, or just take the reflector out and then put the mounting for the brake line on this side. And for the other side, it's completely the same thing. It's identical to this process. So effectively, this will be done. And then we're going to hop now to the back, and I can show you how to do the rear brake pad replacement. For the rear caliper and the brake pad replacement, you'll need to remove these. So there's going to be a 14 millimeter, and it's going to be this one. And then the 12 millimeter goes here, and this will effectively be able to remove the caliper out. Easier said than done. And be able to clean this out again, just clean out the threads and make sure, especially for the front one, that's the 14 millimeter. This is a brake pad guide as well, so make sure to clean this one up nicely. And there it is, it slides right off. You can see these are pretty much rusted down, and very minimal left from a brake pad perspective. So I'm going to start working this one out, hit it with penetrating lubricant, and then you can see here I'm going to take a flathead, unscrew this top portion out, and then be able to remove this from the brake pads. Right, this one gave me a little bit more trouble than I expected, so I really had to hit it with WD-40. Nonetheless, once this is removed, right, the top portion of it, you have access now to this Allen key, and this then can come out, and then you can get the brake pads out from the rear. Okay, pads out, and then of course I'm going to clean this one as well, just like the front ones, and yeah, reinstall and be able to assemble. Okay. sure to clean around the brake caliper. Pull the brake dust out. A lot of guck. Alright, so we're going to start to reassemble the brake pads. Again, just put it effectively inside, right? You can see there is no space, so I will have to put a screwdriver ever so gently and try to separate this to push the piston back. Same rule applies, right? Make sure that you have enough air gap and space in your rear reservoir, fluid reservoir, just so that as you push this piston back, there's space for the fluid. And then I will start the reinstallation process. Alright, so for the rear, there is absolutely no space, so I'm going to use the old brake pads and just start to push the piston back. Just slowly, take your time, right? You don't want to damage anything. And again, this is a 5mm, right? You're going to start threading this in. And you can see I use some of that anti-seize, never seize, just on the pin here. You don't have to, but it's just an extra step I like to take before the torquing procedure. I was able to spread the calipers, spread the brake caliper that slides right in. Also, in case you have it, you can also put some never seize, anti-seize on the front. This is a sliding caliper, right? I just like a dab on the threads, right? Especially with higher mileage bikes or bikes that are stored outside. Alright, once you tighten everything down, you also want to make sure to actuate the rear brake foot pedal, right? And give it a few tries just so that caliper settles in there and that you make sure nothing is binding. But as you can see, everything's working great. Mission accomplished. Alright, so for the rear, for brake bleeding, you can get either just a hose into like a can of some sort to catch the brake fluid. So from my standpoint, I'm having something that I use on my cars, which is the Schwabin brake bleeder catch can. But nonetheless, you can use just anything like a tube, right, that can go at the end of the brake bleeder over here at the rear caliper, right? And you're going to need an 8mm to make sure you can crack this one loose and then effectively have the ability to stop once you see there's no more fluid with bubbles coming in. And then in the rear, here's where the rear brake reservoir is, right? So you have to make sure to take this one out, and you can either drain it into another container or just start filling it up. Either way, you need to make sure that you get the old system out, and then we're going to push the brake pedal and just bleed this one through, right? So just slowly cracking the brake bleeder screw open and then filling this until it's all the way cycled down, and you can see clear fluid without air bubbles, right? So and then once you do that, you're going to crack the brake bleeder bolt back closed. So for now, I'm going to take the old fluid, you're going to want to clean the gasket as well, and just dump it onto the container. There's like sediments on this one. If you need to get in there with a towel or a paper towel, get in there and clean any sediments out, because you don't want to push that through the system. You can see that nasty old brake fluid, right? The brake fluid is retaining water, especially over time, and then it degrades its capability as the brake fluid gets hot. Be able to give you that clear. You can see it's completely clear. It's so much cleaner, night and day. So now, like I said earlier, I'm going to take and bleed this one, right? So I'm going to crack this one open. So here it is. I'm going to crack the rear brake bleeder out and start pushing. There you go. You can see the dirty fluid, right? And you just monitor up here to make sure that it doesn't go completely empty. And then crack it closed. Okay, once you're done with the brake bleeding, make sure to put the cap back on. Make sure that's tight, and then put the cap that you cleaned. And then reinstall the brake reservoir bolt. And I can already tell just with the brake pads and the fluid, this one is much more direct, much more immediate. Yeah, I mean that is night and day compared to before. So yeah, that'll be nice once I get it settled and bedded out in the highway. All right, now for the front, similar process, right? But instead of the rear brake pedal, you're gonna push on the front brake pedal, and then the front reservoir, of course, is here. And you're gonna have to take the safety cap off, and then also clean this rubber surround on it, right? The seal. Make sure that's clean. Yeah. So from my brake pedal perspective, is definitely very dirty. Let me show you. So that's the brake fluid right there. You can see it's very oily, looks so dirty, almost like creamy oil mix, almost like engine oil actually. And that should be much more clear and so forth. So this is way overdue. And the brake bleeding, so it's going to be the same process, and you can turn the wheel right, left and right to help it, but the brake bleeders are here, right? It's right behind the brake line. The brake bleeder screw is here, and it's the same cap, same 8mm nut. And you know, if you look from like a length perspective, it should be the longest side first that you bleed. So if the brake reservoir is on the right, you can assume that the line on the left is actually longer. So you're going to start with the left side first, do that same procedure, right? So you're going to just empty this, and then you're going to crack the brake bleeder screw on the left, and then let the fluid come out until it's clear, right? So you're going to pump it up, hold it, crack the brake bleeder open, let the fluid flow until it's clear and there's no more bubbles, and then close it. You're just going to repeat that process over and over on the left side, and then you're going to do it on the right, just like I showed you on the rear. And that's the whole brake bleeding procedure. Then what we're going to do then afterwards is we're going to go out progressively depending on how the manufacturer specifications are for your brake pads. You're going to go 60 mph, then you're going to do a progressive stop. You're going to do that 3 or 4 times, right? And you get more aggressive with each time. And please be careful out there, right? You don't want to accidentally lose the front or the rear. So just be controlled with it. Make sure you're in a place where there's no traffic that's really right behind you and so forth, that you have some safe space to do this at. So also don't forget to do the master cylinder right, so the brake master. So you're going to do the same procedure, right? So you're going to pump it up, build up pressure. Alright, looks like there's no more bubbles either from the top. It's a firm, immediate. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the content. Definitely thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Until next time, ride safe out there.